publishers need to think like scrappy consumer brands. Focus on creating content that excites and engages your audience, whether it's through thematic newsletters, short-form videos, or leveraging user-generated content. The key is to work smarter, not harder. That's a quote from Greg Rollett, Head of Growth at the Grommet. Welcome to Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast, the most valuable podcast for business leaders who need a boost in revenue and business growth. I'm your host, Carrie Curran, and with over 20 years of marketing agency experience driving business growth, I now run RBMA, Revenue-Based Marketing Advisors, where we help businesses like yours effectively scale revenue growth. Visit revenuebasedmarketing.com or connect with me on LinkedIn today. In this episode of Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast titled Think Like a Brand, Strategies for Publisher Growth and Engagement, I sat down with Greg Rollett, Head of Growth at Grommet, to unpack the transformative ideas for publishers and marketers alike. With recent changes to the Google algorithm, publisher and commerce content websites need to work even harder to drive traffic volume and audience engagement. To be successful, they need to pivot their strategies and think more like brands that they partner with and less like an old publisher. Greg and I discuss the successful and innovative and engaging strategies he has spearheaded in his time at the Grommet. From turning email lists into powerful media assets to adopting a scrappy, brand-first mindset, this conversation is packed with actionable insights. So whether you're navigating the challenges of organic traffic, exploring the world of commerce content, or working towards strengthening authentic connections with your audience, this episode delivers a roadmap to success. So don't miss these proven strategies for growth and engagement in today's ever-changing digital landscape. Let's go. So welcome, Greg. Please introduce yourself and talk a bit about your background and expertise.
Thank you so much, Carrie. This is really exciting. I know we got to spend a little bit of time together in New York. We spent some time together on some digital roundtables, but really excited to actually spend some time together and share some cool stuff. And so, the Cliff Notes version, we were just talking about this, pre-interview is I have a kind of a wild life. I spent 10 years on the road as a rapper in a rock band, like a Linkin Park 311. So I'm going to talk really fast. If you're watching the video version, I use my hands a lot. And it comes from that background. I got out of that and got into creating media for entrepreneurs and small business owners because I love the media side. And I knew that the best way to tell stories and to get your point across and to sell product was through media. So we started creating videos for dentists and lawyers and small business owners and e-commerce brands. And we started doing a ton of newsletters, like print newsletters that would go in a mailbox and you put a stamp on it. And I don't look that old, but I've been sending mail for 20 years. And, and then obviously got into digital, and it's been a ton of fun. And in the last 5 years or so, I've gotten into e-commerce and just learning everything I can about what e-commerce is doing. And today I get to head up the head of growth over at Grommet, where, we really help thousands of these small independent makers who they spent their life's work like building this widget, right? Like if you're watching the video version, like this guy spent years figuring out this plastic mold for something just called cord brick. You just put your phone cords in it at night so they don't fall off onto the floor every night. And then, it's right before bedtime and you're grabbing the cords on the floor, like silly little things like that make your life a little bit better. We have thousands of these makers and we help them really get discovered by millions of shoppers, both on our own media property, which I know we're going to talk a little bit about, as well as millions of shoppers through our publisher and affiliate programs as well. And so, it's been a ton of fun. I've gotten to host, TV shows, Emmy Awards in the corner that hide out. Like I've gotten to do really, really cool stuff, but I love helping business owners to get discovered and use media to grow their business. And hopefully we get to talk about some of that fun stuff today.
Awesome. Excellent. So great to have you here, and love love your background and just how many different perspectives you're bringing to the role and to the Grommet. So great. So you're talking about the Grommet is, to some people, it's an e-commerce site, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you're really a publisher and discovery platform. So talk about the Grommet in that perspective of kind of how how you identify Grommet and what you're doing to build awareness.
Yeah, I love that question. And so, yeah, it depends on who you are, is how you're going to view the Grommet. So, to a shopper, yeah, we just look like this big marketplace of thousands of really cool, unique products that you can't find anywhere else. Maybe you've never heard of before, but you're so excited to get it. It's one of the best gift giving websites on the planet. And so, you're looking for that cool gift for the aunt that you can never buy anything for, or your husband who you're like, nothing ever makes him happy. You'll find something cool at the Grommet. But from a bigger business perspective, we really are a marketplace where we have all of these brands who want to get discovered, all of these shoppers that want to discover these great products. And then we also have our own media property with millions of shoppers that we are, we have a newsletter too, we have social media, we have live shopping, we have all of this own media that we have. And then kind of the layer on top of that is we have a network of publishers who want access to these products because, maybe they're running Amazon affiliate ads, or, they're just doing paid promotions or brand placements, and they want access to these products that maybe they couldn't get, and with a much better payout than Amazon affiliates. So it's kind of like this four-sided monster, if you will, where we have, brands, we have shoppers, we have our own media, and then we have publishers, and they all work together because the brands don't want to be a part of Grommet if there's no shoppers. The shoppers don't want to shop if they're not getting new products. Publishers need really cool new stuff from a site that they trust. And so yeah, it's just this really cool ecosystem that we're trying to build here. And it's a lot of fun because shoppers love it, brands love it, and publishers love it. And so, yeah, it's this really cool ecosystem.
No, and it's great. I was saying I'm a loyal shopper and have been for a while, and it's great to see kind of the resurgence that you've brought to the brand. So one of the things we've been talking about is how a lot of publishers have always depended on organic SEO, Google traffic, and that's become more of a challenge. And so today, publishers really need to start thinking like brands, like the Grommet has already. So let's talk a bit about kind of the more traditional publishers, whether it's a Hearst or Condé Nast type of website. What are your recommendations for brands like that, publisher brands, to think more like consumer brands to start engaging and driving more traffic?
Yeah. So from what we see, and again, the cool thing is we get Grommet articles published on a lot of these big publishers. And when they solely publish to their website, they'll post, here's a really cool gadget from the Grommet, check it out. Well, within an hour, it's on the third page of their website. It's no longer on the homepage, and it just gets buried. And like you said, Google's not sending the traffic that it was, social's not sending the same traffic that it was. And so us, we're like, hey, what happened? How do we? And so getting them, like you said, to think more like a scrappy consumer brand is so smart for them. And whenever we get them to say, hey, can we create some custom content that is social first, that is going to be great for TikTok? And let's let that traffic run to your website where you have your affiliate links so you can get paid for that content. And so thinking social first, thinking short form, thinking, how can we test out these new channels? How can we be scrappy? But the other side is, how can we also leverage some of the content that our brands and our partners are creating and that we get to use? So here's the cool thing for these legacy publishers that I think is really a light bulb moment, is they don't have to create all the content. And I think this is something like, if you're a writer or a journalist, or you have this journalist thing that you're like, no, we have to write the review and it has to be, and you're like, well, this brand has 50 videos that they've already put on Instagram Reels, and 3 of them already have millions of views. Can we just repackage that and put our spin on it, put a watermark on it, run it out to our site and use that as traffic? Now, the brand, what do they want? They want distribution. They want to get more eyeballs on their product. So they're like, well, cool, just use my stuff that I've already got. And, if we're going to be on your website and there's an affiliate link there, whatever it is. So there's this huge opportunity. I saw this with Entrepreneur Magazine. This is, going back 2017, 2018. I was at a conference event, and I ended up at the bar sitting next to the editor of Entrepreneur, and he was telling me how they wanted to get into video, but they didn't have the resources at the time. They didn't have the budget. They didn't want to hire, well, we need camera people, and we need editors, and we need this, and we need that. And I'm like, well, I have a show for entrepreneurs. It's on YouTube. They're 5 to 10 minute episodes. I put them out weekly. I'll give it to you for free if you want to put them up on your site. And it was crazy because he just goes, you would do that? And in my head, I'm thinking like, you would do that? Like that's amazing. Like,
Right.
And so literally overnight, my show went from 300-400 views on YouTube to tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of views because they were putting it on their website. They were sending it out in their emails. They were reposting on social. And so you're right. It's like this scrappy idea of how can publishers think more like brands, but also how can they leverage some of the assets that these brands are creating or partners are creating or people like the Grommet are creating. We're like, we'll hand you everything. So you don't have to invest in all those resources to test and be scrappy. Because I think that's one thing they think is like, well, do we have a writer who can write that? Do we have a video editor who can do this? And then, budget and timing. And, we're all strapped for time, resources, money, all those things. So I think if they think, how can we leverage assets that are already out there and put our brand spin on it? It'll allow them to be much quicker, scrappier, test things, and see how that stacks up with some of the business metrics of getting more page views back to the website so they can get the programmatic advertising. How many more clicks are they getting to their affiliate links so they're generating more revenue? And let's be scrappy about it. Because if it doesn't work, but we didn't invest any time into it, cool, then move on to the next one. So anyway, I know that was a lot, but that's kind of how I think about it.
That was so many good recommendations in there. And I would add too, like, influencer and creator content, whether it's upper funnel, like flat fee, or again, like add the affiliate link to it. But getting that kind of promotion, getting out there, talking about whether it's just the brand, the publisher brand, and reminding people like, who aren't now browsing the magazine rack somewhere or sitting at the doctor's office reading the magazines, like they've kind of lost that traffic familiarity, brand familiarity. It's getting that through influencers or creators and video content. Additionally, there's all these technologies out there with like shoppable video, and I love your point, getting it into programmatic. I think another thing too is that you look at like the CPG brands, for example, for years, they're not selling directly. So they have to partner with their retailer partner. And if they think about it from that perspective, are there co-op opportunities? So are you promoting the beauty brand on Glamour in a video ad, getting the traffic to the Glamour site to read the review or, and I mean, YouTube videos doing that is a no-brainer. It's if you've been in, and you're probably not spending any time in Sephora, but I have a 9-year-old daughter, and she wants to go to Sephora, and the Sephora's filled with those pre-tweens because of the video content promoting the beauty brands. Now, you can do that, promoting it to some of the beauty publisher sites and get traffic that way. So I think you're right. Like there's so many things that consumer brands that have had to be nimble and scrappy in the past, especially the D2C brands. It's like, what worked for them? Let's try that to drive traffic to the publisher to re-engage. I think there's so many more things they could do with that. Then once they have the customer data, there's a lot they can do with it. So talk about what the Grommet has done really well with your customer data and site visitor data.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we do very well is, to us, everything is about the shopper. How do we take care of the shopper? And we think that the best way to take care of the shopper is to get them into our world, keep them in our world, and then show them things that they are interested in. And so for us, everything on the Grommet is now, well, you can see all the products on the Grommet without ever signing in. But the big perk of, creating an account on Grommet is every time you upvote a product, you get a 20% off discount that's exclusive to Grommet shoppers. And so we put that behind an opt-in, which means we collect the list. As soon as we build that list, well, now I know that Carrie upvoted this cup and she likes this coffee maker and she likes this pet toy and she's got a tween daughter because she clicked on these 3 makeup products. Well, now I know a lot about Carrie, and with thousands of products on Grommet, I can now send her emails. I can do follow-ups. I can really create a relationship with her. And so everything that we do at Grommet is about how can we continue to build data on a customer profile, in this case, like on Carrie's profile, and then how do we serve them the best way? While also introducing them to new stuff, because that's part of the Grommet is you don't want to see the same cup every day in an email. You might have liked that cup, but like, what are the other things that are associated with that? Like, if you've never clicked on a pet thing, you probably shouldn't get pet stuff in your feed. And so to me, this is huge. And we've run Grommet like a media property, like a newsletter that is like a personalized newsletter that feels good to you. So every time you open it, you're like, ooh, new goodies from the Grommet. And it feels good and it's exciting and you wait for things. Right. Another piece of it that we've tried to do really well is like having themes and sections in our newsletter that make it feel like, all right, every Thursday is new product day. So, you know, when you open Thursday's newsletter, you're getting 15 products that have never been seen before. And so people wait for that. They look forward to that. This is exciting. I mentioned earlier, I was in the music industry and touring musician, and back in our day, and I'll put Carrie in this too, you know, CDs used to come out on Tuesdays. And I would be the person who would be at the music store Tuesday after school, seeing what the new CDs were. What, you know, did Snoop Dogg come out with a new album, or the Red Hot Chili Peppers, or whoever that it was? And there was like this excitement of like, what's coming out today? And so we've created that same kind of nostalgia. And, you know, we have other days where it's like Meet the Maker, a full profile on like how this person's story and how they spent years perfecting this. And, you know, they got on Shark Tank and they did a Kickstarter and now it's out into the world, whatever the story is, right? And we've created these media properties through our newsletter that gets our base of customers really, really excited. And it's not just like, here's 10 regurgitated stories from our website, go check them out and click on them, which is what a lot of media properties do. And so I think there's two pieces of this. One is do everything in your power to get as many people on your own media as possible on email. We know with almost every one of our affiliates, and I mentioned this earlier with one of, you know, they put up a post on their website for one of the Grommet products and it gets no traffic. The second they put it in an email and shoot it out to their people, like, I mean, the KPIs to revenue, it's directly correlated to email. Like it's always correlated to email. And so get as many email subscribers as you can, and then find a way to reward them and make it cool to be a subscriber and, you know, show them cool things that they're excited to open. Because I can promise you that no one woke up today and was like, oh my God, I hope I get 14 newsletters today with a whole bunch of news stories in them. I can't wait to click on them. Like no one woke up. But if they're like, man, holidays are coming around, I can't wait for that Grommet newsletter and see all the new products today because I need a gift for grandma, or I need this, or I like, now they're excited for our media, which our media, like our whole business is based on selling stuff. Right? Like we have our business isn't content for like an entertainment story or the cool, like the new Taylor Swift review of an album. Like ours is like, here's a new cup, go buy it. Here's a new, but we've done it in a way that gets our shoppers excited.
This episode of Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast, is brought to you by Kriglu. Want to boost customer acquisition while saving time and money? Meet Kriglu, an AI-powered omnichannel bid management platform designed to optimize your ad spend. Kriglu intelligently adjusts bids across channels, ensuring your ads reach the right audience at the lowest cost. Plus, with its automation, you'll free up valuable time to focus on your business. The result? Efficient, cost-effective growth, all while maximizing your marketing budget. Ready to scale smarter and faster? Visit Kriglu.com, Krigloo.com, and start saving today. Yeah, I mean, I love so many things about that, and I think you're right. Thinking of the perspective of the traditional publishers that are trying to generate revenue through commerce content, which they also become retailers and need to sell. But I love the most about kind of what everything you just talked about is how you're describing what other brands might describe as our email list, our CRM, or our newsletter. You're describing it as a media property. And I think that is so smart because just renaming it and like almost productizing it from an internal perspective, you're demonstrating the strength and value of this content. You're recognizing that this is not just, to your point, to like, we're going to send newsletters with products. It's like really having a strategy, a content strategy and a plan and the customization tools within that. And, you know, I sat through a newsletter or an email marketing seminar recently, and that was one of the biggest things they said is you need to be creating content that people want to read on the site. It's not like not telling them what they could already find on your site, but something new, something exciting. And so that in itself, as a media property, is so strong. I think too, having that visitor to your site, even if you don't have their email address, there's so many ways to retarget them. And then we talked about whether it's a co-opt programmatic ad with the product and the publisher brand, but or just reminding them of great content. But there's so many ways to re-engage that customer, that site visitor. That again, the D2C brands are doing it; they know how to do it. How many times have you looked at a website and then 5 minutes later you have a social ad? Like it's thinking about it from that perspective as well. And I think that's such a smart strategy that you've put together there.
Yeah, just two like tactical things to
Yeah.
kind of build on that. One is, let's say you want to send five days a week, right? Like, or whatever your cadence is. Let's say it's 5. Well, think about it like if you had like a TV channel, you're a TV network. Like, what are the 5 TV shows that your viewers must see this week? Well, that's your newsletter, right? Like, and so for us, it's like New Product Thursday, Meet the Maker Monday. Like, what are the shows? Like, and so we think of our newsletters just like TV properties or TV shows or whatever it is, and it's just sent in newsletter form. So I think that's one. And then 2, just one tactic that's working so well for some of our publishers, and we've got them to kind of institute this, is we've helped them to create like Grommet gift guides, especially we're recording this in Q4. So it's gifting season. Yeah. Everybody's got gift guides on their site. Yeah. Well, one way to easily port traffic to those gift guides, because you're probably earning either affiliate revenue or you got paid for those placements, is exit pops. And it's like, hey, before you go, would you like us to send you our top 25 gifts for the holidays, handpicked by our celebrity editor, or like whatever the case is? Yeah. Well, now you collect the email address. Now you get to and now they've basically, the viewer has said, I'm giving you permission to sell me things, right? Yeah. Which is like the best thing in the world. So the exit pop strategy and directing people to some of these guides that you've created. Again, you've spent the money and the time creating these media assets. How can we redirect that traffic? And so exit pop is a great way. I know everyone like clown, like, oh, pop-ups and this, but they really work, especially if you're trying to build a media property and an email list. And if that traffic was bouncing anyway, it's a last resort to, can you get 10%, 20%, 30% of that traffic to now get into your own media, and now you have permission to sell them things.
Right. And I love that example, because you're not just saying, like, give us your email address. It's like, we're going to provide value to you. Yeah. And in exchange, again, I love any way to capture their first party data. Email is so brilliant. And one of the things you just mentioned too was celebrity editors. So we talked a bit about in the startup world, there's so much around the founder's brand, the founder being like the face of the and the marketer of startups. And there's a lot of value to having a face of the company, or somebody that is out there in other channels. So talk about kind of what you've done with the Grommet and creating that kind of personality to align with the Grommet.
So prior to going to the Grommet, I was like a face of my own business, right? So I was like a founder-led business, and I was doing video for myself, and I was the face of all the ads and, all of that stuff. Much like you are now, like in your consulting business, it's the Carrie show, right? And so but when you're now like inside of a larger organization, some of that, like, there's so much red tape, or there's like a wall that's put up that says, well, no, we have to just do this straight brand by the guidelines. This is how we do things. And I just don't believe in that. And I don't believe that that's the world that we are in right now, and how discovery happens, how relationships happen. And so I've really pushed, the team at Grommet and Giddy Up. And some of it has been, ask for forgiveness and just push stuff out. And ready, fire, aim is like one of my favorite mantras that I live by, is like, all right, we got an idea. Let's fire it out into the marketplace. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then once we get some data around it, let's aim it. And I believe that I've always believed, and this is the first book I ever wrote, was that like people buy from people, and they buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And so from day one at Grommet, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to own the person. I'm Grommet Greg. And so every email that goes out to our brands or affiliates is Greg from Grommet. Every video, it's like, hey, what's up, guys? Greg here from Grommet, and I'm going to talk to you about blah, 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 right? I'm doing, short form videos for brands and for shoppers. We do a live shopping show that I host alongside Marcy McKenna, who's, comes from QVC and HSN. But it's like, we have done and we're not even great at this, but I think we've done a pretty good job at leveraging me in this role to build these relationships and have them. And is there a risk to your employer potentially? Of course there is, right? Like you could leave, they could, but like while I'm here, I'm giving 100%. And the bigger my brand gets, the more opportunities come into Grommet, the more inbound comes. And so I think this is a huge opportunity for brands, whether you're, a journalist at a publication like Condé Nast, whether you're an editor, whether you're, on the brand side. Of course, there's founder-led stuff, but the more that you can, there's a great, I share this email example all the time. It's a company called Breeze. They're a beverage company, and all the emails, no email ever comes from Breeze. Every email is Corbin from Breeze or Aaron from Breeze and Nick from Breeze. And they all have different roles to play. And I love this. Like Corbin's the guy who's like, hey, I was at my grandma's house last week. And I opened her fridge and oh my God, there was Breeze in there. And like, whatever it was, it's so silly, but you're like, I know this Corbin guy and I like him. And I know about his grandma and I know about the vacations he's going on. And so like, I want to buy from Corbin or I want to buy from Nick. I want to buy from Aaron. And it really changes everything about your business when there's a human being behind your brand that you can fall in love with. And it's why, magazines have done this forever with the first page of the magazine, you open it, what is it? It's a letter from the editor because you want people to, know the editor and who he is. And he talks about his, adventures that month or whatever. Now in digital, it's easier, not just for the editor to do it, but for everyone in the business to do it. And I think it's a mistake if you're not allowing your employees, your team, especially your senior leaders, to go out there and build these brands and not just, sit behind, the glass door. And so I'm a big proponent of it. And I believe that you are too, is like, let's get out there and build these mini media brands for our larger brand.
Yeah. And again, it's so smart. And I think too, it's like, I get it. Like not every founder, not every writer or editor or product review expert is going to feel comfortable being that like social face or, doing ad hoc videos. But it's so important for the publisher brand that it's like, find those people, like all of your editors don't have to want to also have a social media personality and presence, but you just need a few, to your point of like the Breeze example, you just need a few people out there building their brand, but promoting the publisher brand. If there's a beauty editor or a tech editor, which I know all of the publishers, especially for the commerce content space, they have their subject matter experts. Help them become their own media brand. Whether it can look like influencer and creator content. It can have the links to track back. You can then, reformat for paid social ads or other video ads. Like there's so much value there. And again, I think that's another really great idea for publishers to really think more like brands to drive that traffic back to your site and drive that engagement and click-through sales for the products that they're reviewing.
I want to share just one tactical thing on this because I think this hopefully will. So again, like let's say you're a journalist, you're an editor. Well, you should be proud of the work that you're publishing, right? Or else you shouldn't be publishing it, right? Yeah. But there's such simple things just in the promotion of your own content that you're creating, right? You're already creating articles or newsletters or videos. And so I think one of the easiest things to do is like a green screen video of, you have your article screenshotted on mobile and then you just get up and you're like, hey guys, just published this new article. Here's 3 insights you're going to get from it. Swipe up or click the link to check out. Like that's content, right? And to your state is like, all right, publish a couple of those. Let's see. Did one of them take off on TikTok or did one of them take off? Maybe now let's put some ad money into that because we're going to get more traffic back to the article. And so that's something that like everyone that's creating content for one of these large publishers, that's an easy one that you could do. Yeah. The second thing is if you don't like doing video, don't do video. You could do pretty images. You could do carousel cards. You could take a quote from your article. Twitter is still, or X is bigger than ever. If you love writing, go on X. Like, and so there's a place for whatever format. Like if you don't like getting on camera, do voiceover videos. So there's so many opportunities to do this that are low effort, but high reward, right? So a green screen video, you could probably film it, edit it, publish it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you know? And so that's not a lot of time away from your daily tasks. It's not like you spend a day creating a video. So your boss is getting mad at you, but you know, screenshot, open up, you know, CapCut, do the green screen. Hey, what's up guys? This is Greg, just published this cool, like 5 minutes. And I think you'll be really excited at those, at the opportunity that comes with that.
Smart. And I think one other thing you just made me think about is, especially with the product reviews, commerce content, is that there's often a little bit of skepticism of, did that person, that editor, writer actually review the product and touch it and feel it? And I know, especially like Wirecutter, they pride themselves on, no, we're actually like touching, feeling, running in the running shoes.
Yeah.
So just that additional, like, to your point, I'm holding the shoe that I just reviewed. Adds a little bit more authenticity and credibility. And as you said at the beginning, it's trust and relationship with the brand, the publisher, the platform that is going to drive that sale. So so many great ideas here. I'm excited for this. It's just so there's so many recommendations that any publisher should be thinking about to drive that increased traffic and engagement and ultimately revenue driving activity. So this is great. Greg, any other last recommendations or tips for the audience?
No, this has been super fun. I think, you know, one of the big things is, if you got anything, if Carrie said anything like mind blowing or I did, and you implement something, just tag us on social and be like, hey, Carrie, Greg, I love that. Thanks for the episode. I think that's the biggest thank you that both of us can get is, if you're listening to this, liking the content, you've got a cool idea, share it on social and let us know about it. That's like the best thank you in the entire world. And obviously, like, leave a review of the podcast. Say, you know, Carrie's doing a great job here, you know? So I think those are the best ways to say thank you if you got something valuable from today.
Agreed, Greg. Thank you so much. Again, your recommendations and ideas are super valuable, and this was awesome. So thank you.
Thank you. It was fun.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast. We have more valuable content coming up, so be sure to subscribe to Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast, so you don't miss out. To connect with me, Carrie Curran, to learn how you can boost your revenue and to listen to past episodes, visit revenuebasedmarketing.com.